I've never heard so many people give glory to a fictional country before. Glory to Arstotzkan. It's pretty much become a meme by this point, hasn't it? Which seems really bizarre for a country that appears to be a mix of Soviet Russia and East Germany. It doesn't seem like a pleasant place to live at all, but people keep trying to immigrate into it, so... does that mean its neighbors are worse? Actually, people in the game outright state some of them are, never mind. Now, there's probably a few different things you could think upon seeing Papers, Please. You could think it's one of those artsy games that tries to get a story across with little gameplay. I'm looking at you, Gone Home. Or you might think it just looks like a paperwork simulator. I'll admit, I kinda got this game because I thought my nitpicking typo hunting side would be fueled by it. And it was. But to my surprise, this game makes you think about certain issues while never outright telling you what to think about them, and it still has a solid gameplay mechanic around it. Who would have thought a game about checking for discrepancies could hold together, much less tie together story and gameplay? Gotta give Lucas Pope some credit. If that idea popped into my head, I would have thought there was no way to make that work. So let's dive right into Papers, Please. Come on, let's see him. I haven't got all day. The story goes that near the end of 1982, Arstotzka has ended a 6-year war with neighboring Galicia, reclaiming East Grestin as glorious Arstotzkan territory. So a big wall is built along the border, along with a border checkpoint, and the labor lottery has chosen you to be the immigration inspector. Yay? If this sounds a lot like Berlin, that's because it is. I'd throw a Reagan line in here, but I already did that in Breakthrough. So at first, it's just you and the Arstotzkan Ministry of Admission Rules and Regulations for Inspectors, which has the ISBN number of George Orwell's 1984. That's a good sign, right? That whole glory to Arstotzka thing is sounding a little more menacing now, isn't it? All the various ministries liken it to George Orwell's work as well, along with the fact that we don't see anything about any opposing political parties or any elections at all for that matter. Though, considering this, they have a surprisingly free press. You see pieces in the newspaper critical of government policy and everything. If you ever played the Republia Times, yeah, you know Republia doesn't put up with that from their paper, even though the newspapers look pretty similar. Huh, wonder if the guy from the Republia Times ran off and is publishing the truth of Arstotzka now. And if you ever somehow got too optimistic in this oppressive atmosphere, there's always the Ministry of Information Special Investigator M. Vonnel. Unlike most people, even your own supervisor who walk into the booth when they show up, you go to work and this guy is just... there. Ah! Hi? So at first, things are simple. Everyone has a passport and you let people from Arstotzka in. Everyone else... denied! Don't get used to that, it feels like the rules change just about every single day due to some decision from on high for various reasons, only some of which actually make sense. On day 2, all nationalities can be let in, but you'll have to start checking the date as people will be trying to get in with expired passports. Oh yeah, and there's a terrorist attack. That's a great sign. It's your second day on the job and Galician extremists are already blowing things up. Guess what? It only gets worse from there. On day 3, entrants now require entry tickets, and then a full-on entry permit on day 4. Yep, entry tickets lasted all of one damn day, and you never see them as valid again. If this sounds confusing to the people trying to get in, that's because it is. Every time you think you might be getting used to things, the Ministry of Admission will throw another curveball at you. Not that you can blame them too much when... yeah. Some people make it pretty easy on you, though. Soon enough, you also have to be checking for mistakes across multiple documents. Depending on where you are in the game, you have anywhere from 1 to 5 different documents to cross-check. Check that all the information matches other documents, the entrance appearance, their height and weight, what they said they're traveling in for and how long, if the issuing city is valid for their passport, whether Arstotzka decided to just deny entry to that country that day, whether the gender matches their appearance, and if the seals are valid, among many other things. And yes, that's seals, not seal, because there's multiple departments involved and they can't even agree on a seal within the same department. Bureaucratic asshats. For some reason, the gender thing always gets me. Damn it, I hate that citation printer noise. I guess I'm good with numbers and checking for typos, but not checking gender against a vague pixelated appearance. That and it's one little letter I always forget to check. Okay, I know that's not female. Oh dear, Arceus it is. Congratulations, you win the Manliest Woman in Arstotzka Award for 1982. It's like someone slapped Link from Rhett and Link's face on a woman's body. Ew. If you keep up with that well enough to take care of your family consistently... Oh, did I mention that? You better be processing enough people and not making enough mistakes to get fined. You have a family to take care of. But assuming you're doing good enough to keep track of that just fine, don't worry, the game starts throwing moral decisions at you too. Whether it's people trying to bribe you, a guy having valid documents but his wife doesn't, or any of the other things the game decides to throw at you, this game will actually stop and make you think about what to do. For the first time since Undertale, I actually found myself feeling something for the game's characters. Which actually surprised me. I wasn't at all expecting this game to get any sort of an emotional response out of me. But it did, enough that I took a citation once in a while for what I thought was right. Doesn't mean I was, though. Who knows? Oh, and I took some bribes on the side. Hey, I have a family to provide for, damn it, and this job doesn't pay well. Oh, shut up, you dot matrix piece of shit. Of course, if you are especially evil, you could go the other way and be a dick to the annoying people too and deny them out of spite. I didn't do that, I just went passive-aggressive, stamping the approved stamp off-center, or even better, right on their face. Heck, some of your decisions might not even hit you unless you start thinking real hard about them. If you've played it, well, how many people have you thrown in the gulag to an unknown fate for what looked to be a simple typo on their paperwork? Think about that. This is actually one of the more interesting aspects of Papers, Please. Some of these decisions span the course of several days, and one actually spans the course of the entire campaign. Each decision you make appears to have some impact, even if it's just a small one, and quite often there's more than a couple of ways of going about these decisions. The more interesting decisions are the ones that are the biggest spoilers, unfortunately, so I can't really say a whole lot without ruining things for those who haven't played it yet. I don't really know who that is by this point, but just in case. In summary, I fully recommend playing this game, seeing as it's a different experience for each person who plays it, especially the first time. How each person reacts, the decisions they'll make, it's all different, and that makes it well worth playing. Not to mention the smoothly scaling difficulty curve you get over the 31 in-game days of gameplay. I'll admit the basic concept can be a little bit tedious, but the characters and the changing rule sets to keep on top of seem to keep things fresh throughout the campaign. Plus, in the year or so this game's been out, there's been a Linux version and added support for multiple languages. Well, if you really want me to nitpick, there's a few little things. There's certain places in the game that expect you to remember specific names several days later, so it almost feels like you might need a little notebook for a couple of moments in the game, especially if you take a particular direction in one of the major decisions I won't spoil. And even if you don't, there's still one moment in particular like this that's required. You'll know what I mean when you run into it. If you haven't played the game for a while and you come back to it later, that will definitely be a problem. Though if you mess up, you do have the autosaves on every day to go back to, so that's always nice. There's also a couple of confusing moments in pointing out discrepancies, like pointing out a missing document. You have to match the rule you need a document to the empty desk, or if someone says a different time period or purpose of stay from their permit, you have to pull the audio transcript from the speaker and match it with that. I find it amusing how often the entrants get the length of their stay off. Like, way off, but maybe that's just me. There's also the booth upgrades you can get during the course of the game for 5 credits each. These are things like keyboard shortcuts for the inspect mode and stamp tray, and little clickable tabs for your rulebook. These might sound useless, but they sped me up enough that they seemed well worth the 5 credits. Yeah, this means you have to buy the keyboard shortcuts. Normally I'd complain about this, but it kind of fits the oppressive atmosphere of the game, to be honest. The Ministry of Admission can't be splurging for your convenience? No, they'll only spend their money on upgrades that make your life more complicated. There's also a few parts of this game that just kind of make you wonder what kind of logic is behind it. Like, why is it the inspector's job to take care of terrorists later on? And why is he a better shot than the trained Arstotzkan guards? Is he a veteran of the war with Kalicia and the game never decided to tell us? Why do tranquilizer darts make motorcycles explode? Okay, that was a bit of a spoiler, but that was just too nonsensical to not point out. Oh, and you ever think about the fact that somehow someone's able to immediately give you those citations when you make a mistake? Just have that citation printer run the booth. Actually, this was a change for the sake of gameplay, and I can understand that. If you did it realistically, you wouldn't know what you were doing wrong until like the end of the day or something. You stupid piece of shit, stop printing those damn things! Unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot to do after you've done all of your experimenting with the story mode. There's the endless mode, and, well, playing one of these modes kind of makes it obvious how tedious the game can get with no characters or plots and no changes to the rules to keep up with. That was part of the fun of it. Oh, and only one ending gives you the endless mode code. If you get the ending, you'll see why, though. It's the only way the endless mode makes any sense at all. Or you could just get the code off the internet. Whatever. Still, despite that, the game is only $10, assuming you don't find it on sale somewhere. The story mode will last you at least 4 hours, and it's unlike anything you've ever played before. I can pretty much guarantee that. Oh, wanna know something fun? This was developed in macOS 10 before it was ported to Windows. This was way back in the development timeline, but I did review a Macintosh first game after all. This is Tanara Kuranov, signing off. Welcome to Arstotzkan.